think Printable HTV is just for t-shirts? Then I implore you to think again. I'm going to show you some wonderful ideas for things that you can do with Printable HTV. I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm partnering with Creative Fabrica for this video, and the great part about that is all the designs that I'm using here in this video, you guys are going to have access to for 7 days once this video is published, that you can grab them for completely free. I'll link the list down below, but there are so many wonderful, fun designs, and some of these are bundles, so you're getting multiple designs, not just the ones that I'm using. I can't wait for you to check them out, so be sure to grab them for free. Again, you've got 7 days from the date of this video being published. I'm going to show you how to use it on wood, a makeup bag, we're going to make a fun Christmas ornament, tote bag, and so much more. We're going to talk a little bit about the printables for darks versus the printables for whites, and we're going to be using Cricut brand HTV, but I do have some that I like a little bit better, so I will link those below as well if you want to check any of those brands out. Now, these are so fun to do. We're going to make a bookmark. Here's a pillow cover. I'm going to show you how I print these, how I cut them, because some of them don't need to be cut with Cricut, and some of them actually won't cut very well with Cricut. So we'll talk about how to make sure you're using the right product with the right image as well, plus with the right products like shirts, totes, and the colors. So without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. If you've never tried Creative Fabrica before, this is the video for you, because they're going to offer you a list of a few of these designs for free for 7 days. I'll put the day that it's expiring down here on the video because I'm not exactly sure what day this video is going to be posted. But what's really great about this is that you can really find so many things. So I'm going to look for the design that I'm going to use here to show you. So I'm using an After a While crocodile design that I thought was really, really cute. And it is this one right here. Now, what's great about this is you're not going to have to go searching for these. You are going to be able to just download them from the free design list. But I want to show you how to download them so that you know how and how to use them, because it is super easy. So what you're going to do is click download, and it's going to open up a folder and ask you where you want to save it. I'm going to save it into my Printable HTV uses folder and click save. Now, you do need to do what's called unzipping or extracting the folders that you download from Creative Fabrica, but it is so simple. Up in the top layer here of your folder, you're going to click extract all, and then just simply click extract. It's so easy to do, and it really is such a simple process. And now you have your PNG ready to be used in any way that you like. Now we're going to use some of these within Cricut Design Space, and some of them we are going to just print off as a PNG because we don't necessarily need the Cricut to cut them. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It is super simple. I'm going to upload a design that we're going to use with the Cricut because, like I said, some of them we can just cut by hand, but I want to do something with a dark fabric, so I'm going to use one of my dark designs. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to choose upload image. Now I'm going to browse for the file, and for this one I'm going to use one of these summer geese, and this is going to be such a cute design to use with the 4 darks. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about why this is going to work so well for darks versus using it for lights. So let me choose one of these geese. I think I like this one eating the watermelon, so I'm going to choose him, and all I have to do, because he's already a PNG, is simply just click continue, and you'll notice that he does have a removed background, so you can see the checkerboard behind him, so we're going to go ahead and just simply click continue. We want to save him as a flat graphic because we're going to be cutting him with print and cut. Click continue, and then from here you can change his name if you want to. So I'll call him Watermelon Goose. You can add any of the tags or add them to your collections and click upload. Now he's going to load really big. And I'm going to go ahead and resize him. So I'm going to choose size, and I don't want him any bigger than probably about 10 inches tall. So that's a pretty good size. But you want to keep in mind that with print and cut, you are a little bit limited on your sizing. But you can use my trick little hack to print him a little bit bigger, and I'll link that hack down below for you. So how do you know what images that you need to use with the lights for HTV or the darks? So there's a really easy way to think about this. Anything that is white will be transparent. Your printer does not print white ink. However, HTV for lights is like clear sticker paper, and HTV for darks has an already white background. So you can think of it just like copy paper, where anything that's white is going to be fully opaque, and with the lights, it will be transparent. So if you're kind of questioning how you tell what's going to be transparent and what isn't, what I recommend doing is taking your background color down here in the bottom of your layers panel and just change it to a color. I like to use like this medium gray because I feel like that gives us a good contrast. So I just want to show you a couple of things here that will kind of help you determine which design and which color HTV you're going to use. So you can see that the ones on this edge here are all with a transparent background, with the exception of this Dog Mom one. This one has kind of a white offset around it, and that's okay. That's totally fine, but we are going to be using the printables for lights with this one, and I'm going to explain to you why. So when you're using a printable with light, what you want to think about is the fact that we are not actually really going to need to use the Cricut to cut this. We can just cut these with scissors. Since the background is clear, when you go to press it on to your blank, you're not going to see that background. So when it has a lot of small pieces that are not attached, like right here with the After a While crocodile, plus you have like this one that has all these small little details in it with the hearts and the stars and the dots, or even this one that is like watercolor and really distressed. And I'll go ahead and zoom in on that one so that you can see. But you see how it has all these distressed edges and these little extra pieces? Same with this one here, where this is going to want to cut out. We don't really want to deal with that. So what we're going to do is either just cut those with scissors, or you can still have the Cricut cut it out, but you'll want to add an offset. So for example, with this one, if I still want the Cricut just to cut a circle around it, I can go up to Effects and I can go to Offset. Now we're not going to need a really big offset with this. We just want kind of enough where it's going to fill in that little edge around the design. So I'm going to make it really, really, really small. So you just want to make it so that it really just creates a circle around this, and then you can just click Apply. You want to go ahead and change that circle over here to white, and then all you're going to do is select both items and you're going to choose Flatten. That really just tells Cricut Design Space to cut around this white offset. Now, again, we don't necessarily have to do that. And with some of the designs, it really doesn't make sense to do that. So we can just cut them with scissors. For this Dog Mom one, this one would actually be pretty easy to do with it. So if I go to Effects and choose Offset, you're going to see it might take a second to kind of compute what you want it to do, because this does have a lot of spots with it. But I do want to make this one just a little bit bigger because it's got a few little dots that are sitting outside of that edge. Now, when I click Apply, you can see that dark gray. That'll be what your Cricut cuts around. Now, by making this white, it will just cut a transparent area around it. And it's just going to be a little easier for you to kind of set it up, especially if you want to use your Cricut to cut it out. Now, again, do you have to do that? No, you definitely don't. And then I'm going to choose Flatten. Now, with the ones that we're doing with the darks, you're going to notice we have a lot of white spaces. And that's totally okay to do with darks because your dark background is already white. So when you press it onto your dark blank, the white will actually be there. So for example, with this goose on the floaty here, he's going to be all white. Same with this little snow globe. All that white edging is going to show up just fine. And same with like the mini little dots. So if I'm putting this on a purple shirt, a green shirt, whatever the color may be, you're going to see white instead of the color of the shirt coming through. So for example, where it's white here in the Dog Mom, you'll see whatever color of the color shirt you place this on. Now you do want to use light colors, and keeping in mind that any color that you use that isn't white will affect the color of your print. So that is something that you really want to think about when you are creating and choosing what designs you're going to put on what type of material, what color material, and whether you're going to use HTV for lights or for darks. Now I'm going to link down below a video that really goes over the HTV for lights and darks, again, just in case you have more questions. That apple's going to be cut with light, so I'm going to hide it for now. I'll deal with the wording on it in a little bit. But what I'm going to do here is all I'm going to do is hit make. And the reason I'm going to do that is it should be able to put some of the 4 darks designs on one sheet so that I don't have to print more than 3. But but we're going to be doing a couple of different designs as you saw. And what it's going to do here is it's going to pull up all of our projects. So you can see we have our duck, and then we have the goose. And then finally, like I said, it was going to put 2 of our designs on the same page just to save us a little bit of area. Now with these, we're printing these with the Printable HTV for darks. They do not need mirrored, but we are going to cut these ones with Cricut Design Space. So let me show you how to print them really quick. I'll just show you how to print the duck. You're going to click continue, then click send to printer. From here, you're just going to hit next, and then you want to wait till it finds the printer that you have connected to your machine. You want to use an inkjet printer with these. Once it finds that, I am going to leave the bleed on. What that does is it pushes some of that color out to the edges of your design so that if it cuts slightly off, you're not going to have any white around your design. I'm also going to be using the system dialog, and then I'm going to click print. Now this is going to open up your printer preferences so that we can change some of those settings. So right here, you're going to make sure your printer's selected and then click preferences. And then you're going to do exactly like we did in Inkscape. So you'll see here that I've got presentation paper matte selected. That works best for the Printable HTV for darks. I'm going to print it on a high quality in color, and then I make sure that high speed print is turned off. Click OK, and then click print to send it to the printer. Now, if you're going to be using the Printable HTV for lights, and especially if I want to make it larger than what Cricut Print and Cut can do, I like to use Inkscape. Now, you can use really anything that you want to. You can even use Word. So don't worry if you don't have Inkscape or you're unfamiliar, but it's all going to be kind of the same steps regardless of where you are taking this from. So what we're going to do for this is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to choose Import. I'm going to look up my design, and I'm going to use the After While Crocodile one and put that into our page here. And you can just click OK. You don't have to change anything. Now, like I said, if you're using anything like Word or anything like that, it's literally the same. You're just going to put it in. You're going to size it down. And for this one, I am going to size it a little bit differently. Because this one is going to go on a 5x7 canvas. I just thought this would be really cute. So here in Inkscape, what I can see is the width and the height of this, and it's in inches. So for this, I'm going to do it as like 5x7 like landscape. So it can be up to 5 inches high and 7 inches wide, whatever. But I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So honestly, this is a pretty decent size as is. So I'm also going to print the Dog Mom design. I want to do the boho retro design and the design that we chose for the pillow. So let me just go ahead and put all these in here. You can also drag and drop them too if that's easier. Now that I have everything in Inkscape, I can resize everything so that it is the size I need it to go on my design, but also so that it will fit onto my paper. So I'm using 8.5 by 11 paper, which is the size of this white piece here. And then we've got our After While already sized to what we need him to be, because remember, he's going to be on a canvas. Now with the Cricut brand Printable HTV, especially for the lights, we do not mirror it. So it is a lot different. And you're going to notice that the background is actually going to show pretty white until we press it. So don't fret. It's just one of those things, but these are the ones that we're going to hand cut. So we're going to be able to hand cut these no problem. The only thing that will print is the item that is on the white section. So even if you have just part of this over onto the white, it's going to print that out. So if you're printing multiple designs, you just want to make sure that everything is off the white except what you want to print. Now, in order to make sure that these print really nice, we're going to go to File, and you're going to go to Print. We're going to use some of the system dialog things that we use when we print with Cricut too, so it's very similar. You want to make sure your inkjet printer is selected, that color mode is on, and go to More Settings. Under More Settings, that's going to pull up those printer preferences. So for this, I want to change this, and I like for this one to use the Premium Photo Paper Semi-Gloss, but you may want to check your printer and just see which one works best for you. I find that printers really do vary. Then I want to change my quality from standard to high, and I want to make sure that color is selected. And then I'm going to go to More Options, and I want to make sure to turn off High Speed Print. I'm going to click OK and click Print to send it to the printer. I'm going to get the rest of these sized and print it out. So just like we did in Inkscape, we're going to print everything out, but I am going to be doing this apple, which for some reason brought back the wording on it. I'm going to have to fix that. We're ready to cut these with our Cricut. Now, the 4 lights has a green grid on the back. The 4 darks is just a white backer. It's actually technically clear, but it looks white. When you load these, you always want to make sure you load them just like you do any other print and cut, with the little arrow into the upper left-hand corner. Now for the cutting setting on these, I used what Cricut recommended, which if you go into your material settings and you look for Printable HTV, they will have listed a Printable HTV for lights with green grid, and that's what I used here for the lights. Now it didn't cut as well as I had hoped it would, but that's okay. I was able to kind of pick apart the little bits that didn't cut as well. It's just because it had some really small details. And remember, when they have really small details, they're not always great for a printable HTV. But when you peel this off, what you want to do is you're going to peel the backing. So it's just like weeding vinyl. And then until you're ready to press your design, leave it on the backing that you cut it on. That's a super important thing to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple of the darks here, because remember, we're going to cut some with our Cricut and some without. Now again, you want to make sure that you're loading this in the right direction. If you load it the wrong direction, it either might cut wrong or it might not read your lines. Now again, I'm using the cut setting that Cricut recommends, which for this one is the Printable HTV for Darks setting. What it does is it reads your set lines, your little grid lines there, and then it's going to cut around your design. I double checked my cut, made sure it cut right, and then I'm going to cut the other pieces. Now you'll notice that one of the sheets does have 2 designs on it, just like I showed you. That's just to save some material when I'm doing this print then cut. Now we're going to cut these out and I'm going to apply them. Now these are the ones that we're going to cut with just our scissors. So these are for lights. Now it does look like the backing is white, but it is actually pretty transparent. That's the word I'm looking for. So what you want to do when you press these is you're going to press them at 315 degrees for 30 seconds, except on wood. On wood, it was only 10 seconds at 310. Now with this, you peel it off the backing and then you place it on to your blank. So I'm going to get it centered here on my piece of wood. And once I'm happy with it, I'll slide the tray in. And like I said, this gets pressed at 310 for about 10 seconds. I think I might have done 315, but either way, it doesn't press very long with wood. So you want to make sure that you check that with the Cricut heat guide. I did forget to put some parchment paper over it, but it was totally fine. And I think it came out really cute. Now I'm going to press my pillow. Again, this is a printable for lights. So while it looks like it has a white background, when you press it, it becomes really, really transparent. Again, pressed at 315 degrees for 30 seconds. Please make sure to use the parchment paper. I'm going to press my little makeup bag. I've got my zipper off of my pressing pillow just so I can make sure that I get a better press, because this does need about a medium to firm pressure. So when you're pressing it, you want to make sure you're giving it a really, really good pressure. Now this is the canvas piece, which is like a flat board canvas that I got from Michael's, and it came out so cute. This was one of my favorites. I think this is a really fun way that you could decorate with. But again, it's really easy to press. Now we're going to do the 4 darks. So you're going to notice that these are going to have that white background. They're not going to be transparent at all. And with these ones again, press at about 315 degrees for 30 seconds. So I did that one with some faux leather. And I'm going to show you when we get the close up how I feel about this product. But I think the design is so stinking cute. Now I'm going to pull the drawer out because I'm going to be doing a t-shirt. Now remember, this is the one that has a lot of the white on it, and it's really going to show you what that means when you're using a 4 darks, that white stays. And that's super important. I wouldn't want to use a 4 lights on a color like this. Anything that's white is going to come out that teal color, and it's going to affect the color of your design. So again, you just peel this off the backing. Now the 4 darks does curl a little bit, so you want to be careful when you set it down to make sure that you check for any of that curling area, that it's not going to curl in on itself or fold over. Putting that parchment paper on top really helps with that, but it's just something to be aware of when you're working with this product. Printable HTV for darks is so fun because you can use it on so many different things. But here it is on a t-shirt. Now again, press this at about 315 degrees for 30 seconds with parchment paper between your press and your shirt. And then you can just pop it up. Again, I'm using that medium to firm pressure. It's going to give us a really nice hold. Now this is a blanket. This is like a fleece polyester. I wanted to do this because it's a totally different type of fabric and it works so well. Wait till you see how bright and colorful this comes out. Again, we're going to peel it off that backing, and you'll notice that the backing on this one is clear. It's almost like a clear plastic. You do want to go kind of slow when you're peeling because you don't want to rip it. So I do like to hold it down a little bit as I peel my design off. I just want to make sure that nothing gets ripped because it is a pretty thin product. Now, again, you can see kind of how thick it is. It's not, you couldn't see the color through the backing. And then when we press this, that color is going to stay so nice and vibrant, especially where that white is, like on the polka dots. This is a product that is so great for really any color. You can even use this on light colored shirts, light colored fabrics, whatever you got, that white will show. Now with this, again, make sure you use that parchment paper. It's super important. Now this here is what I'm going to use for an ornament. And this is a really fun one to do. So I'm going to show you how I do this. This is like a minky fabric, but you can use any fabric that you want to. And I'm going to press the tote bag first, just so that we can get that one done. But this is such a fun product too. This is that Dog Mom one that had all that extra edging on the outside of it. And I wanted to make sure to do one like this so that you could really see how that white disappears into your project. It's really, really cool. Now with this ornament, I'm using an embroidery hook or a hoop. Now what you can do is you can paint that hoop if you want to, or you can leave it raw. It's really up to you. You're going to take your hoop apart and we're going to take the lower hoop, the slightly smaller hoop, and I'm going to figure out about where I need it to go on my design. And I'm going to put my fabric on top of it. Now you're going to need to adjust your fabric a bit. So you do want to make sure you cut your fabric a bit bigger than your hoop. And we're going to find about where center is with our design. And you want to make sure that you have that top piece in the center of your design as well. So I'm just adjusting where that bottom hoop is sitting so that everything's going to be nice and centered. Again, you can use any fabric that you want for this. It's really fun. And I'm just going to get that as centered as I can until I'm happy with it. If it's not perfect, it's really okay. Nobody's going to notice. Then you want to tighten up that top hoop piece, that little screw. And you can hide that with like a bow or a ribbon or whatever you have that'll hide that. This is just kind of to give you an idea on how to do it. Once you get that nice and tight so that your fabric isn't moving around, and you can pull your fabric a bit to make sure that it's sitting really, really tight and then keep tightening it. But you just want that nice and tight. That way your fabric isn't going to slide around. Then all I'm going to do is take my scissors and trim really close against that wooden hoop and trim off all the extra fabric. Now again, add a bow to it, paint the little ring, whatever you want to do to make this a little extra special, you can absolutely do that. And what's fun about this is you could put a family photo in here, you could put a picture of a pet, you could do all sorts of things to make these really cute, super fun ornaments, and they don't weigh a lot. So if you've got a tree that maybe can't hold a heavy ornament, you've got this cute ornament ready to go. Add a bow, add some glitter, have fun with it, little sprig of holly. Now here's our finished products. You can see how bright and vibrant these are, and I think they're so cute. Now remember, you can grab some of these designs for free with Creative Fabrica. They're good for 7 days. Again, I'll put the date on the screen here that you have until you can download them. But you're going to get a bunch. You're going to get all the bundles. So you're going to get multiple ducks. You're going to get multiple geese. You're going to get multiple patterns. You're going to get the Dog Mom design, everything for free, which I think is so great. Creative Fabrica is one of my favorite websites to use. If you've been around for a while, you know that I use them. Now, if you have any questions about this or anything else related to Printable HTV, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll link some helpful videos, and I'll also link all the products that I used for this video down below. That way you can find them. Now, I do want to point out, you can see that edge there. That's because our design is on a canvas tote and it's tan, not white. But if you look at like this one, look at how bright and vibrant those colors are. It looks so good. And you really can't see the edge against the white here. It's just because the Cricut Printable HTV for lights doesn't have a fully transparent background. But look at how good it looks on the wood. Be sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And as always, happy crafting.